I would like to call the Village of Ashwaubenon Site Plan Review Committee to order for Tuesday, January 7th, 2025. Roll call, please.
President Kurowski.
Here.
Trustee Paul.
Here.
Member Kurowski is absent. Member Persick.
Here.
Member Quinn.
Here.
Member Pamprin.
Here.
Member Rathburn.
Here.
Okay, please stand for the pledge.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And please remember our men and women throughout the community and throughout the world in uniform. I have no changes to the agenda. I need a motion to approve. Motion and a second to approve the agenda as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Action on the minutes of December 17th, 2024 committee meeting.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve those minutes. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Number 6, action items. 6A, consider, discuss, act on a site plan review for a wireless telecommunications tower at 2634 Babcock Road, parcel VA-155-1. Aaron.
All right, thank you. I'll share my screen to bring up a map depicting the, there you go, the location. So the requested site plan is for it's currently a standpipe location on Babcock Road. The standpipe as it currently exists does host 3 different wireless cell tower or cell arrays. The standpipe unfortunately has reached a point where it's structurally unsound and has to be removed. But we still do have those 3 arrays on the stand tower we need to somehow accommodate under our contracts. So the village is proposing to install a new 100-foot monopole tower to host the 3 providers at heights of 75 feet, 85 feet, and 95 feet. There is a location to add a potential 4th, should one be proposed at 65 feet. There was a neighborhood meeting that was held on December 10th, 2024. 2 neighbors attended. The only concern that really was brought up was there's an alarm that sounds when the backup generator fuel level is low, and it's kind of disturbing to the neighbors. There are no concerns about the proposal to remove the standpipe and replace it with a monopole tower. Should the site plan be approved, there's still a conditional use permit that has to be obtained as recommended by Plan Commission and Village Board. Plan Commission this evening and the Village Board end of the month. I'll bring up a image of the site plan itself. You can see where the existing standpipe is right now. Proposal for the cell tower or the monopole is right here. And then the enclosure, as it currently stands, will remain, as well as the current vegetation around the fenced area. If you have any questions, I could try to answer them. Otherwise, the person who knows the best is Brian Rickert, who is also in the audience.
Can somebody give me a definition of what a standpipe is? I always know them as water towers, and now you come up with this fancy word I don't understand.
We'll call it a water tower. It's
All
just
right,
a
I
more
understand
technical term for a water tower that goes all the way down to the ground. So essentially, it's a large vertical pipe about 27 feet in diameter, but it's not suspended or elevated up in the air as you're familiar with this normal water tower that looks kind of like a lollipop.
Okay, that answers that question. The other one is, we got a maximum of 100 feet in the air. Aaron, is that approved by the airport? Is there any jurisdiction over that?
Because it's greater than 50 feet and within airport zone C, they will need a airport permit, which I believe they're in the process of obtaining.
Okay, and then those 3 providers, they are at a different height, is what you're saying then?
That's correct.
Or are they all on the same height right now as on the standpipe?
These will be higher than where the current.
Oh, they'll be higher, okay, okay. All right. I don't have any other questions.
I was at the neighborhood meeting. I walked in a little bit late because I was at a different meeting, but Really weren't, like you said, Aaron, there were no concerns from the neighbors. I would think that the monopole would look a whole lot better than that standpipe that's really in kind of some really bad shape, so.
This monopole is what we got right behind the service building here,
Yes, sir.
Public Works building. All right, if there's no other questions, I would move, recommend approval for the site plan for a wireless telegraphics tower at 2634 Babcock Road.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the new mono tower at Babcock. Any other questions, concerns, comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Okay. 6B, consider, discuss, act on a planned unit development PUD amendment request for transient residential use of the Riverway Marina Clubhouse at 457 Marina Lane, parcel VA-132-4-1.
All right, I'll share my screen again. Okay. I'm sure you're familiar with the Riverway Marina. The request from the previous owners, as well as now the new owners of the Riverway Marina, requested an amendment to the PUD ordinance that currently covers the area to allow for overnight transient residential use, basically short-term rental, of the Marina Clubhouse as indicated on the map that you see right here. The property is currently zoned P public use, which doesn't mean it's public per se, but it does mean that it is limited in terms of what uses are allowable within the clubhouse. As it currently stands, residential use is not a permitted use within public use zone properties. The amendment to the PUD would allow for transient residential use against short-term rental usage of the clubhouse itself. It would not allow for, say, camping on the breakwater or anything like that. It would be specific to the clubhouse itself. In discussions with the operators, the transient residential use would typically occur on the non-boating months when it's not being used by marina boaters. And the PUD amendment wouldn't restrict it to such non-boating months, however. If a short-term rental is proposed to be used, it does need to make sure it has at least the Brown County license. If it rents for 10 or fewer nights per year, July 1st through June 30th, greater than that does require the Ashwaubenon license as well. One item, I guess we include as a condition of approval, is in order to ensure the building is appropriate for overnight transient residential use, the applicant's owners will need to work with a design professional to ensure the applicable building codes are followed and necessary improvements are completed should the PUD be approved. Again, that's to make sure that it meets all egress, restroom facility requirements, so on and so forth, of a residential type use. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them. Otherwise, we do have the new owners, operators of the Riverway Marina in the audience as well.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions, comments?
Well, I got a lot of comments about short-term rentals to start with. The area I cover is full of them because it's right around the Packer Stadium, so this doesn't affect me, but I would like to see more input from the plan board with those people on that board to see what their thoughts are. I'm not against it, but I'm not going to vote for it at this point. I think we need a little more input from the people that represent that area, number one. We're not changing the zoning because we went to the PUD way. If it would have went to changing the zoning, that would have been a definite no. So my thought is I'd sooner prefer pushing it to the plan board, which would be tonight, and get more discussion on it.
Just to clarify, because it is a PUD amendment does have to go to Plan Commission, as a matter of due process.
Correct.
So it's gonna go for them either way.
Correct.
How many, I mean, is there more than one unit gonna be in this building, or?
I'll probably hand that question off to the operators. Do you mind? Yep, state your name and address for the record.
Hi,
Hi.
name is Dennis Kettles. I live on 771 Mankill Road in Brillion, and this is on regards to the 457 Marina Lane. Marina? So what was the question? I'm sorry.
How many, is there gonna be units or just?
No, so it's just a one unit. The building's actually set up really nice for it. Right now, obviously, it's not being used at all, and it hasn't been used in several years with the previous owners. So it would be nice to do something with the building, you know, to try to make it better. So it's a big, basically open concept, the main part of it, and then there's 2 bathrooms right now that can be accessed from the outside and the inside. So it would require, you know, putting a wall up for adding a bedroom. The bathrooms are, you know, commercialized, so just kind of like, you know, sprucing that up to make it look a little bit more non-commercialized. But yeah, it's a beautiful place, and I think it would benefit the community to have a place to go, especially there, because it's, you know, it's beautiful, that whole area there, as far as making it available for the public.
You know, I've been in that building before a number of different reasons. What's the square footage of that building?
I don't have that number.
I
This
don't,
is Lori. Dennis, I'm also on the phone. The previous owner, it is just under 1,200 square feet.
okay, I was gonna guess 1,000.
Yeah, there's like a staircase that goes up to like, just like a single room, and then it's got windows and like a pergola that goes around so you can see out everywhere.
Is that a livable space? It looks more like a cupola that has a view to the river to me.
Yeah, the upstairs, you could, I don't know if it's a livable space, it's quite small. You could get maybe a smaller bed in there, but the main area, there's like an office off to the side.
Right.
And then there's another area next to the office, which would work good for the bedroom.
Okay, wasn't there a little bar area in there at one time too?
Yeah, like that's part of the whole main open concept plan, you know, which would be perfect for gatherings. There's like a bar area with like a sink and refrigerator and all the stuff that you would need to, you know, to make some kind of small food or whatever.
It's been a number of years since I've been in there, but I know there was some facilities in there. Any other questions?
Can you, want to put your mic on? Thank you,
Oh,
Dan.
I'm sorry. I guess my first question is, you said something about during the winter it wouldn't be utilized?
So my understanding is that they're planning on using it primarily in the off-season. So in the wintertime, late fall, wintertime, early spring is when it would certainly be used as a short-term rental. Then I guess as far as the seasonal, I guess I'm not sure what your plans are for the summer.
I guess I don't really have any of those, you know, a complete idea on that, but obviously if we could use it for year round, that would be, you know, the best. Because right now, obviously in the winter, there's people out there ice fishing and stuff like that, but really the property as far as what we do with it is not being utilized. You know, that building just sits there vacant, empty for the whole winter. And right now, you know, it's empty for the whole summer as well. But it would just be nice to have, you know, a use for the building, and the way it's set up, I think it wouldn't be evading to anybody, you know, having it there, being that, you know, all the different businesses that are around there.
Is it gonna be designed so that it can be used as a clubhouse and a residence at the same time?
We could do, so like, if it wasn't being occupied, you know, and then for our customers that have the boats in the marina, we would make it available for them as well. So if their family wanted to come and stay, if they're from out of town or whatever it is, you know, they could stay there as well as the public. So it's not just for, you know, the people that are boating.
You know, my question was, is it designed to operate under both conditions at the same time?
It would be-
Residency plus operation as a club, marine?
The inside of the building, if it was occupied as a short term, would be short term for that period of time. The outside of the building has a nice patio that goes around it. So the patio area around the clubhouse would be utilized as both.
So then, do the marina renters, the boat renters, would they have access for restrooms yet?
Yes,
They would.
yes.
So my other question, Ryan, Aaron, is overnight sleeping on the boats allowed in this PUD?
It doesn't go into that at all as far as the actual slips themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't, it's silent on that. Our code itself also doesn't really go into sleeping on boats at all. We don't allow for RV sleeping in the village or camping in the village. But there is no code prohibition, I guess, on sleeping in your boat. It's silent on that.
And I don't ever remember a boat in there big enough to be sleeping on it. I'm not saying that somebody couldn't lay on the floor
Yeah,
and
it's
sleep
pretty
on a
deep.
15, 20-foot boat, but as far as cruisers, I've never seen anything big in there.
I think
So,
there was.
Aaron, just as a comment on that, so as a previous owner, we bought that out of a foreclosure in 2011. We have 40-foot boats in there. We still have 38-foot boats in there. Even the 32-foot cruisers in there are people that do sleep overnight on their boats.
Lori,
And
Lori, if you wouldn't mind just giving your name and address, it helps out with our minutes.
sure, of course, Lori Bayer, Bayer. My address is 2308 Apple Creek Court, and that's in De Pere.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. So you are right, Gary. Most of the boats nowadays are recreational. They're pontoons or fishing boats. But we have probably there's probably 10 boats in there that are plenty large enough for overnight sleeping conditions.
So if we're amending the PUD, however this goes, do you think we should discuss that?
I guess from a zoning enforcement standpoint, the only way that we'd be involved if someone's sleeping on a boat is if it's considered a short-term rental and advertised as such. You know, otherwise, if someone is sleeping on their own private boat in the marina, that really wouldn't be an issue for us.
Okay.
But I guess that, regardless, I want to make sure we focus just on this conditional use permitted, or the PUD amendment for this at this time.
Dan, I think there may be some additional regulations. I wouldn't say regulations, but standards that may pertain to sleeping in navigable waterways and things that we wouldn't have authority to regulate. So I think Aaron's right. I think in this particular condition, we're really focused on the clubhouse, but we can certainly do some review and investigation to see if the village even has authority to regulate sleeping in navigable waterways. That may not be something that we have permission to do.
Just wanted to bring it up.
Yep, I can take a look at it.
Okay, Aaron, this process, as I understand it, is PUD as opposed to, there's not going to be any zoning change proposed for this, correct?
Correct. It's a PUD amendment, which mimics a zoning,
Okay,
but it's just a PUD amendment.
okay, given that, my only concern would be if anyone else has concerns about precedent setting here, coming from my experience on zoning. I'm wondering if anybody has any issues with, will this result in things down the road coming to us?
Anyone,
have a concern.
yeah, anyone can request a PUD amendment for anything. Ultimately, it's up to the full discretion of really the plan commission and the village board to make that ultimate decision. So precedent doesn't really come into play with a PUD amendment like that.
All right.
But there's residential on that PUD now, is there not?
Yes.
There is, yes. Yeah, we have those condos that are there.
My issue with this, you know, anybody who knows me and short-term rentals knows that I have a lot of issues with short-term rentals. I got emails and voicemails from this weekend with people with short-term rentals. And it's really, I was talking to Will yesterday, and when he started a year ago, we had 700 and some short-term rentals in Brown County. We now have well over 900, and that number is growing on a daily basis. So, it's great to think that we can only have the short-term rental possibly used in the off-season, but I don't think that we can regulate that because of the way they wrote the statute. So, that's what I have issues with. And there's so many loose ends on this. You know, it's, well, kind of don't know where that's gonna go and that wall's gonna go here or there. I would have issues with those loose ends, so.
And just to address the concerns about the building, that's why they do have to consult with a design professional to make sure it does meet the standards. But they aren't gonna do that unless they have actually authorization to move forward with it because of the cost involved.
Right,
And Katie would work with them on that.
right.
Okay, we kind of understand that. I'm not afraid,
Yeah.
you know, I'm not against you making a buck. Don't get me wrong there. Is anybody else got a comment on this? If not, I'll make a motion to deny it, and we will bring it to Plan Board this evening for more discussion.
It's my understanding it's gonna go there anyway, right?
Yes.
Well, I like your idea better, Dan, of tabling it for the Plan Board if that's possible. You know,
Either that or we could send it with no recommendation.
Yes, we could do that
Right.
too.
recommendation would be the way.
Send it with no
that sounds
recommendation?
better. I don't want to use the word denial because that's pretty harsh. I'll go with, Dan, you make the motion, you brought up the big word.
Why do I have to do- I'll make a motion that we send this to Plan Board with no recommendation.
I'll second that.
Okay,
I understand maybe what,
Is that what we can do, or do we need a motion to?
Yeah, no, I don't, I think you can certainly do that. I guess my only apprehension was the initial statement of maybe tabling the matter to bring to Plan Commission. I don't know that I would recommend that, but if this committee does not have a formal recommendation to approve or deny the PUD, I think that's a certainly valid motion. And then the Plan Commission will just have to take this matter up individually without the Site Plan Committee's recommendation. Ultimately, this goes to Planning Commission with a recommendation to Village Board because it is an ordinance amendment to the plan unit development. So final decision is made by the Village Board.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, so this,
That's fair.
just send it to
That's
Plan
fair to
Board
him. Okay,
With no recommendation.
with no recommendation. We have a
that's good.
motion and a second to send to Plan Board with no recommendation.
Good.
Does everybody understand?
Yep.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Motion carried.
I said no.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have items for next agenda?
Yes, we do.
Okay,
So I have a question, Aaron. Can I ask Aaron a question? I know Gary brought
I
this up
don't
last.
think so.
We probably need to adjourn first. I can take it offline.
Yeah,
Oh, this is
So I
kind of
need
a
a-
site plan question.
it's a site plan question?
Yeah, it's following up on a question Gary asked about a year ago.
Yeah, I would just recommend, because it's not a matter on the agenda
Right.
for open meetings law, and if it's just you that has the unique question, I would just adjourn and then ask the question offline.
Okay, I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.